There it is. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are live here. We are very fortunate, okay, from the office of St. Rose, Las Vegas, Nevada, to have Delinda Crampton. Welcome to the show, Delinda.
Yeah.
I was waiting for the studio audience to kick in. There they go. They get a little rambunctious at time. So start by, I know you've done this with me a couple of times, Delinda, but some people haven't been on before. Just give them a little history of yourself and all that good stuff, please.
Sure, absolutely. So I've been in the business 22 years now, and my background actually was in TV news, and I went and got my undergraduate, my master's in that. And what I found translates into the real estate business with that is, from interviewing all kinds of people, I can talk to anyone and be relatable to anyone. So it was nice. I got something. Most of us have a previous career, but something that could translate into real estate. And why I got into real estate was I saw what was happening in the Las Vegas Valley. This was back in like 2002, 2003, and told my husband, I'm like, hey, I want to do some investing. And that's when the market was just starting to take off. And he's like, well, hey, if you want to do that, why don't you go get your license so you can keep the commission? Which we as realtors know, not necessarily a reason to go get your license, but about halfway through school, I started thinking about, you know what, maybe this is something I want to make into a career. It would give me that quote unquote flexibility once I had a family, but replace my TV income. And, as we know, as realtors, when other people aren't working, we are. But it enabled me to be at all the kids' school performances, volunteer in their schools, and it did give me that flexibility along with
Yeah,
replacing the income and then some.
right. Yes. And then some. And I would say, and then some, and then some, especially now that you've been
And then
doing
some
it
and then some.
for a while.
Yes.
Yeah. I love when people say, I'm going to get into real estate so I can pick my own hours. I go, great. Tell me which 70 you're going to pick.
Right. So true.
Right. So, no, you can definitely do it in less time if you're more efficient and effective, like you guys have been. And now that you've got your team going, and tell us a little about your
Mhm.
team as well, please.
Yeah. So I call us small but mighty. There's me, and I've got an agent that's been in the business 18 years, one that's been in the business 24 years. And we did just bring on a brand new one that we're grooming from scratch, who had a very successful corporate career. And then I'm very heavy on the admin side, which gives us a lot of capacity. My husband's the listing manager. I've got a transaction manager, a marketing director, and a concierge service manager.
Hmm. Awesome. Great. Yeah. And you guys killed it last year. And you have a big goal this year, don't you?
We do, we do. So last year we did 47 million. We helped 91 families, and this year our goal is 66 million.
And how many families would that be?
Oh, you would ask that.
It's probably like
Um,
120. It's probably like
yeah,
125 ish.
it's around there, 125, 130.
Okay, good. So going from 91 and then from 44 to 60, that's awesome. What a great goal. And you know what? I think as the year progresses, as you've probably seen, it seems to be getting a little busier and a little busier. I think a rate adjustment would help, but it seems to be a very steady, if not even better than steady year so far.
Yeah, and I've seen a lot more buyers coming through the open houses in the last month as well.
Yeah, and we have more inventory coming on too in Las Vegas. I know you track the numbers. The numbers have gone up well for inventory, and the sales are starting to chase them.
Yep. So now we just need that rate drop.
Yeah, that would be so fabulous. If you're listening, Mister, I call him Jerry Fowle, but his name is Jerome Powell. My nickname is Jerry Fowle. Jerry, if you're listening, lower the rates, man.
Please.
Yeah, we don't need to have the rates this high. Although, they're still historically pretty damn good. And, if I'm
Oh
a
yeah.
buyer today, right? Since you've been doing this,
Yeah,
I mean, they've
that's
gone all over the place, haven't they?
Yeah, I mean, the rates are where, like when I got in the business 22 years ago, and I tell people if you look at the 30-year historic average, we're right there.
Yeah, we really are. So tell them a little about how you do your business. I know you do a little of everything. I know that you're a poster child for Brian Buffini because every time I go to one of his events, I see your picture up on the wall there. So give me a little idea how you do this because you guys are very dynamic.
Yeah, so I have built the majority of my business working by referral. I do a little bit of farming, a little bit of internet, but 95% of my business comes by referral. And the first year I was in the business, I was sitting floor time. People would flake on appointments. I was door knocking. I only went door knocking twice, and I got my first 2 listings that way. So it worked. But I much prefer the relationship stuff. So I just took the listings that I got from there and then started building my business by referral. And then the other thing I did when I was new was I attempted farming. But that you've really got to do it for, 2-3 years just before you start to see anything. And then I did open houses as well. And then 1 year into the business, thankfully, I found Brian Buffini and I said, oh, I wish I'd been with him from day one and built my business that way. And I very much have just done, I do my phone calls are to people that are, my past clients, my sphere. So it's people who are happy to hear from you. They like you, they know you, they trust you. And then I do client events. I always have little gifts in my car that I'll stop by and drop off, incorporate into my appointments. I send handwritten notes, that kind of stuff.
I love it. Yeah, and the by referral only, meaning that most of the people you're talking to you've dealt with before, or they're in your sphere, like you say, which is typically in your conversation to get into with people, isn't it?
Yeah. And then a lot of my realtor or referrals also come from realtors around the country. Like I very intentionally built those relationships over the years. And it's actually a third of my business are those referrals.
From all over the country, yeah, by being involved with
Mhm.
the Buffini organization. They're a great organization. So tell us about like your social media campaign, because I've noticed in the last few years you've picked it up. Give an idea of how you do that too, please.
Oh, well, one thing I did, a really fun thing a couple Christmases ago is, there's Elf on the Shelf, and I decided I was going to be Realtor on the Shelf. And so I had an entire month of everywhere. I was somewhere different and went down to, golly, past Boulder City to those painted rocks all the way up through Las Vegas. And people would have to go online and guess. And then when they had a correct guess, they got an entry. And then I drew like a prize at the end. But it was really a hoot. I was dressed up as an elf and all over town. So that was like a little, social media thing. But I also, if I'm at a listing, sometimes I'll try to make sure I do a walkthrough video there. I do a monthly kind of real estate update that I send out that we post on social media, just kind of what's going on in the market. Sometimes it has to do with a little more personal stuff like decluttering. I send a realtor once a month or a video once a month to my realtor relationships. I work a lot of assisted living, so I send a quarterly video to my marketing reps. Um, yeah, what am I missing that you've seen?
I was going to say, yeah, I think you've covered it all there. That's a lot of things going on simultaneously. So you covered social media in there. You've covered actually you've covered like a social media campaign too. You've also covered digital marketing, what you do digitally, email wise, and so forth. And I think and then you also talked about talking to people on the phone. So that's why I call it using all the senses. You use all the senses: digital, visual, auditory. You use them all by keeping in touch with them, and your primary focus is by referral only, which is why I think it's streamlined, it's efficient, isn't it?
Yeah, and snail mail too. Like once a quarter now, I'm sending my A's and A pluses a little gift through the mail.
Good. Good, good, good. Okay, so my favorite question to ask always is top 3 reasons. Okay, so you've been doing this for a while now, 22 years. You're a top producer, always a top producer in the Las Vegas market for our company. What would be the top 3 things you would tell them to focus on to be successful in this business?
So the first thing I always tell people when they say, "Hey, how did you get where you're at?" is consistency. Like I have done the same thing so consistently over the years, and so many realtors experience that those peaks and valleys. And for me, it's just steady. And I think what happens is, realtors like work, 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 work to get the business. Then they get busy with the business, so then they're working the deals, and they're not keeping the oar in the water marketing wise. And so then they close those deals and then they're in a valley again. So no matter how busy you get, you've always got to keep your oar in the water with marketing. So that's one thing. And, I've
Nice.
had people say, oh my gosh, you're so amazing at marketing. And, it wasn't that I did a lot. I just did the things so consistently over the years. Like, my monthly item of value that I send out. I didn't even mention that. And then I followed up 2 weeks later with an email, the phone calls, the client events, like just very, the gifts, just very consistent with all that. So that would be one thing. Second
What's about
thing,
your client appreciation party? Give us a little insight into that.
oh, so my next one is coming up at the end of May, and I am doing a movie event. I like that one because logistically it doesn't take a lot to plan. So I rent out an entire movie theater. I do Town Square because it's halfway between Summerlin and Henderson. And then I actually, with that party, I get my vendors who I use a lot to sponsor. And so it pays for most, if not all, of that client event. And then everybody who comes gets popcorn and a drink. And then I also have door prizes. So anyway, I'm happy to talk to people if they want to know more about the sponsorship thing. At Thanksgiving, I do a gratitude gathering. I open up my home. I have wine and hors d'oeuvres, and people come. They get to go home with a pie. The clients love that one. I get an amazing turnout, and it's really fun to see your clients meet each other and interact. And you just get this real like positive buzz going. So
Nice.
that's one. One that we're going to do is Super Summer Theater, where they do the live Broadway shows. And so we're going to get food and, kind of picnic out and watch the show together. That's another one we have planned for this year. Next year, I'm going to do a Aviators baseball game. We'll do the tailgating party in the parking lot and pick a night that they do fireworks. There's countless things. I've done shred, dump, or donate. I mean, it just goes on and on. And I've done so many parties over the years. Easter egg
I love
hunt,
it.
pumpkin carving. Yeah.
I love it. What's the movie this time coming up?
Oh, Mission Impossible.
Nice.
Yeah.
I
I try
love
to
it.
get one that will like appeal to a lot of people.
That's I mean, Tom Cruise movies are awesome, so I would definitely go to that one.
Yes.
All right, so that's
Yes.
number one is consistency. And,
Number
and,
one.
and like you just said, Delinda, the most important thing. I mean, content's important, quality is important, but consistency is by far the most important.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And then, another one is just being very relational, like letting your clients know that you care. Like, I'm not with you just for the next 30 days. I'm with you for the next 30 years. And I want to be your trusted real estate advisor. Just like you have a CPA and a financial planner, I want to be your real estate advisor. And I have clients who call me for like, I love it when they call me for referrals because that means they're thinking of me, they trust me. And, sometimes it's real estate related, sometimes it's not. So yeah. Another thing I would say is pick a niche and delve deep. If you can figure something that really resonates with you. So I have found out that I love doing probate because I have this concierge level of service that I can really help people, that are during a difficult time because they've lost a loved one. So they say you get rich in a niche. So just, don't just pick a niche, but really what can you do to work it and grow it and expand it? Like go get a certification in whatever it is. Say you want to work military, military has a certification. We've got Nellis Air Force Base here. Um,
Right.
and then my other one would be if I had it to do over again, I would start working by referral from the start. I kind of alluded to that. Like I would skip the door knocking and the floor time and just start working my sphere of influence in the people that I know.
Okay, good. Yeah, I mean, it makes the business more, like you just said, relational too, because you're talking to people you're growing it. It doesn't mean you've always done business with them, but still, it helps if you have. But anybody in your sphere, in your database, and so forth, it's such a great way to do it. And I know that there's a lot of people out there that have been successful doing that. You do it extremely well, though. Like your stuff is all tied together. When people tell you you're really good at marketing, you're great at marketing, is I think it's because everything looks tight. You got everything working well together, which is great. And then obviously you're a dynamite agent. You know what to say and do once you get out there. What about your listing presentation itself? Is it similar every time? Do you mix it up? How do you do that?
Yeah, so I give them my home marketing plan ahead of time. So I feel like they will see what the marketing is that I do. what my credentials are. So I think a lot of agents make the mistake of going and, oh, all about me and I've won this award and I'm ranked this and blah, blah, blah. And that's such a turnoff to people. When I go on the appointment, then I make it all about them. And my listing appointment really is, walking through the home. And then I've got a series of questions that I go through and really getting to know them and their home and what they want. And I don't have a physical listing presentation that I go through at the appointment because they've already gotten my home marketing plan. And then
I guess.
after I go through all my questions, then we go over the numbers and then we sign paperwork.
Nice. Good. So so I would call that a pre-listing package, but yours is a pre-marketing package, which has everything in there.
Yep. And then I don't, unless I need to, because, they're out of state or something, I like to physically sign with them while I'm at the appointment. Because then you got the listing too.
Right. Yeah, it makes sense when you're out there to get it done all at the same time. And you like doing it at their home, it sounds like too, because that's what you're going to be marketing.
Right. For sure.
Good. Good, good, good. All right. So everybody likes when top producers do this. So give us what do you see happening this year? What do you think, like, what's your gut tell you? What's going to happen with interest rates and the market? And then, what do you think is going to happen?
I think rates are not going to drop as much as I would like them to. I know that 5.8% is kind of where we need to get to for the market to explode, because the new builds, when they were buying down the rates, they tried all different rates. And it was when they bought the rate down to 5.8 that they really started selling a lot of new builds. So, I know that they've talked about 2 more rate drops. Maybe those will be 0.25% each. I don't know. I think best case scenario, maybe we're down to 6 by the end of the year. Don't know that we'll get there. But I think even 6, if we can get down to that, would be a tremendous help. And I think it's just going to kind of be a steady year. We know, economy wise, it's going to be a little bit of a up and down bumpy ride. Even Trump said, hey, with the tariffs, like expect a little bit of, it's going to be a little for a while. But I think I think it is going to stabilize out. I think next year is probably more the year where we're going to see things really start to take off.
Yeah, unless the Fed, the part that always irritates me is the Fed had no problem increasing the rate by 0.75 4 times in a row. But then when it comes time to go the other way, they go a lot slower.
They do.
Right.
They do. Yeah.
All right.
But I think it'll be a steady year. Yeah.
That again?
I said I think it'll be a steady year.
Yeah, I think it'll be a steady year too. All right. Anything else you want to tell these wonderful people? You've answered all my questions, very detailed. Anything else anything I didn't ask you that you'd like to say?
Oh, I think so much is mindset too. Like you got to believe in yourself. Be careful of the soundtracks that you tell yourself. And I take my goals and I turn them into positive affirmations and I post those on my bathroom mirror where I can see them every day. Maybe it's putting it on your desk or in your car. But I think that, mindset is so important because if you don't have the belief, you're not going to have the confidence and that's not going to convey with your clients.
It's so true that self-talk is so important. I always tell people that you should create a mindset routine, and it sounds like you have one.
Yeah. And I've always been a glasses half full girl, so that helps too.
You look at you. I've been coaching for a while, and when I coach people, I can tell right away which one they are: glass half full or glass half open. And statistically, the glass half full people always do better because they have a positive attitude. They expect things to go right, and they just act that way. I like to call it the attitude of assumption. I assume people want to talk to me. I assume they want to list with me and buy with me. I assume it's going to go well, right?
Yeah. And you know what? When clients ask me, what do I think is going to happen? One thing I do, though, is I'm very honest and they appreciate that because I think sometimes people will be like, oh, just to get the business. And I've actually been given the feedback that, oh, you're not painting just the typical rosy picture. And I always have a positive spin to it, but it's also has the reality, true numbers put in there too.
Yes, I agree 100%. And have you noticed that we're in a market that, it's still technically a seller's market, and how educated buyers are, meaning that if you put the property on the market at the right price, it sells quickly. If you don't, it could sit a while. And I think sellers need to know that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'll tell them, here's what's truly selling. Here's what it takes to sell quickly. Yeah. And otherwise, we're seeing a lot of price reductions.
Which is not the best way to get it done, to get top dollar for them. Nope. All right. Well, I just want to say thank you very much, Delinda, for taking your time out today. I'm sure people got some nuggets out of this. I know I did. It was very
Hopefully.
educational.
Good. Well,
All
it's
right.
my
Thank you
pleasure.
very much.
Thank you for asking me. All right. Bye,
My pleasure.
guys.
Thank you for taking your time out. Bye, everybody.